Hey yo, what up, Backcourt family? It's your boy Big Esco. Welcome to episode 16 with Dave Kvidahl from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. But first, want to say thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and make sure you're following us on Instagram at the Backcourt Pod. But without any further ado, we're gonna hop into the episode, y'all. Peace. Oh man, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man? I seen that disturbing video of Ahmad in Georgia.
Oh man,
what about that or whatever? Seen that?
I mean, I don't really watch that no more, like videos and stuff, because it's like a lot of people just into like watching trauma. Like people call it like trauma porn, and I've seen enough. Unfortunately,
for me, it do suck. It's like I get your stance of not watching it, but for me, it'd be like, I need to know what these motherfuckers on with us, me personally. You know what I'm saying? Like, just for me, I can't speak on nobody else, but I'm not saying I'm thirsty to watch it, but since it's available, I want to know the truth and what happened. And to kind of, in my mind, I document them things and they fuel for me to continue to try my growth and development. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To get to a better place where that's not happening, you know?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that was kind of that's just been on my heart this last little hour from seeing it. Just like, damn, bro, like, you know.
Yeah.
That type of shit be kind of pissing me off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a part of life, just like everything else is. You know, everybody been watching the Last Dance, and that's created a lot of different conversations and stuff like that. And it's just so well done. I was couple episodes in. I'm still behind, but I got a little bit in. So yeah, I only like watching them 2 at a time anyway. Like I don't like need to sit there and watch 10 hours of like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen per se. But no, I think it's just good to go back. I was making this argument with our homie Gene, who was episode 1. Shout out to Gene and the Bigs. I've been watching them every Monday. They've been working with The Tribe here in Chicago. The Tribe is an independent black publication here, and they've been doing lives on YouTube and I want to say Facebook. And I realized that Michael Jordan is a freak athlete. His gap of athleticism was extreme in a way like Wilt Chamberlain. And at the time, like nobody came behind him that could match the athleticism at his position. I would say the next
a lot of the good guards in his position were like a little older.
I mean, like who you talking about? Like
Drexler, different people.
They wasn't that much older than him. They was all in college together.
Okay, I thought it was a bigger gap.
I mean, because Drexler, you got to think Drexler played with Hakeem in college. Hakeem and Michael Jordan the same draft.
Hakeem was the same age as Jordan.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
One pick
the day.
So it's just like, you know. But just kind of looking at it like that, like you don't really trip off of it like that. And Michael Jordan is just like a crazy athlete. I don't think his athleticism kind of is not as understood of how big a gap it was. Like he's like Shaq. Like I would think the next big great athlete that was just like, oh, I'm changing the game. I've never seen it before is Shaq. And then to me, the next person that kind of compares to Michael Jordan that could maybe match his athleticism would be Kobe, but I would think that's not until the 2000s. Michael Jordan came to the league and
athletic is Jordan though. But I mean,
but yeah, I'm just saying
I can't say it's downplayed maybe for the people our age and younger, but like Air Jordan, like everybody knows this guy is, you know.
But I'm saying like the combination of athleticism and just like
his skill set
and his IQ was just so far from anybody else at his position. You know what I'm saying? To where Magic Johnson had extreme IQ, but he didn't have extreme athleticism. He was taller, but he wasn't just like, oh my God.
He was just big as hell and he could play that shit. Yeah.
Like literally Michael Jordan was like, we can't contain him. He's going to have 60 tonight. Like we genuinely.
Coming off of the year he broke his foot, like I think for me it's his mentality, his competitive nature. Because he was obviously intelligent. He obviously came from a good black family during those times. I mean, for him to be born, like for him to start playing basketball around the time Martin Luther King got killed, you know, his family was almost somewhat middle class for a black family at that time. So
and the city,
education And, you know what I'm saying, him coming from a small place, that chip he had on his shoulder, I think that mixed with his intelligence, like, made him like have a bigger jump. Like you said, he just was a harder worker than a lot of people. He was crazy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it just was like, dang, I didn't look at it that way. I don't think. I didn't look at the gap being as big as it was. Because in hindsight, like, at the time, you look at it like, oh, these people were competing against him and these people were competing against him. But at his position, it was nobody even remotely close to him. That's what I'm saying. Like,
the bigs weren't as skilled as guards. So it's like, you know, generally in the past, and even now to a certain degree, I mean, step back and being able to shoot, they're not skilled as the guards are. The guards have to do a lot more within the game, especially back then. And
I would say the bigs were the better players outside of Jordan. I think the next best players to me were the bigs, like Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem, like Shaq. Like I said, like they were like, because like Reggie Miller, like you said, Clyde. It's like in the 90s, who was the second best wingman? You know what I'm saying?
It was a lot of good point guards, but yeah, like, that's a good thing. That's a good.
And at that time, that's why Isaiah Thomas is the second best point guard in real life, because at that time, the point guards were a lot smaller then, and you're smaller, you're just not dominating the game.
And that's something about Jordan and all of these guards I see.
You're not.
As a guard, you start off kind of in that point guard position. So when you grow, it changes your career. Like we were just talking about last episode with Brighton. If Brighton grows to be 6'6", 6'7", now his life is just a different life, because you're forced as a guard, as a child, to be able to be on the court, to be a point guard. Like I said, Michael Jordan's brother was a point guard. Obviously, he wasn't big. So you come up playing in that type of situation. And then when you get bigger, it's like, oh, now I'm playing against bigger guys who can't play as good as me, because I was forced to. And then I think, too, with him dealing with failure early on, like him being a sophomore, like, no, you couldn't go home.
Yeah.
That's a different thing, because it was a different time period back then where it's like, this is the only place you could play. One, ain't no shit like that. They cut your ass. It's the only place in town.
He wasn't going to go to the rival school. Go to
live over here, your ass cut. Damn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know everybody, you done went to kindergarten with everybody, and now you can't play. But you're pulling everybody off the court. You feel like you're good enough. So then when he hit that growth spurt, like I said, he started getting taken more seriously. But it really was them extra inches. And failing and working harder, he probably did get better.
And before we call our guest today, David, I don't know how to say David's last name, so I don't want to mess it up. But he's a writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch since STL Today. He was writing while we were in high school, so it'd be great to talk to him. But that athleticism, I don't even think, like, LeBron didn't even have as long as a time. I don't think of, like, KD came in LeBron's during his prime, like his prime window. They matched up in the finals. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jordan didn't match up with a player comparable to him in size. I don't think that it was, like, near his talent. That was like people say Clyde Drexler. Like Clyde Drexler wants to have that conversation, but it's not a conversation to me.
Like, I guess Dominique. But like I said, I feel like
Dominique was a bigger than him, though.
Right, but I'm saying athletically, he still had a 40. It was certain athletes, but now it's just like, if you are an elite athlete, you're just not going to be there.
But that's what I'm saying, though. The unique athletes, though, dominate on, like, both ends in a strange way, to where it was like he dominated on the defensive end, he dominated on the offensive end, where, like, Dominique, I've watched and seen, but I don't think Dominique was this defensive force.
That's why I say, like, I give you his athleticism. And then in addition to that, though, his
plus. It's plus. It's the extreme athleticism plus the basketball stuff. Like Oscar Robertson. It's the extreme athleticism. Like, Oscar Robertson was crazy, but then it was like his IQ and all that other stuff was just Kareem. That's what I'm saying. Kareem, Wilt, it's certain players, Bill Russell, to where it was like
the intangibles.
The competition legit can't match up with you guys.
Like Dwight Howard. He's a Hall of Famer, but he couldn't hoop for real. Like, me and you probably were better basketball players than him.
If Tim Duncan had Dwight Howard's body.
Yeah, then it's just like the planet is different. Yeah,
planet is different. The history is different.
Oh, bro. Get started.
Yeah, let me. Big Dave.
Big Dave. Repping that St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
All right. I'm calling him now. Dave K.
He got a good hooping name. Like it's like Karolinko or somebody, you know what I mean?
Hello?
What's up, Dave?
Dave.
How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I am happy to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you for stopping by with us, hanging out with us during, our quarantine and all the craziness that's going on right now.
Yeah, man, happy to do it. This is crazy times we live in, man.
Yeah.
You pronounce your last name. I don't want to mess you up.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Kvidahl.
Kvidahl. I like that.
Yeah, I know, right? You would never get it looking at it.
No,
what are the origins? Like, what, like your ethnicity or country or what's that?
It's the name's Norwegian, but I'm an American mutt. I mean, I got German, Irish, English, all that shit. So, but the name's Norwegian.
Yeah. Okay. Dope. Well, we kind of gave a little intro before you came. Next, you're a St. Louis Post-Dispatch sports writer.
Yeah.
And we want to start our show like how we start with everybody. How did you fall in love with the game?
Oh man, I kind of wrote about it when it's pinned to my Twitter profile, that story. Like I grew up, I actually lived here in the city.
Okay.
I went to Rowe Elementary School. I lived on the last street in St. Louis. Across the street was Maplewood. But my street, I was the last block in the city. And so I lived here first grade through fourth grade, and my dad would take me to the Billiken games with Bonner and Roland Gray and all those guys down at the old Keel. And I was like, man, this is what's up. And so then my dad's job took us to Indiana, where that's all we do.
Yeah, that's basketball. Yeah.
So I started to get into it then, and then I moved to Indiana, and it was like, yeah, this is all we do. So I've just been batty for basketball ever since. And, that's my game, man. Even in Indiana growing up, it wasn't about football. It was always about basketball,
So were you a Pacers fan? Does that mean like you grew up a Pacers fan?
Actually, no. My dad's family's from Kearney, New Jersey, which is across the river from New York. So he was a Knicks fan. I'm not really feeling the Pacers. I'm like, yeah, I'll do the Knicks thing. That's cool. So I become a Knicks fan, which I haven't given up on them yet, although they've really tried to make me give up on them because it's been terrible.
Fans, like we are closet Knicks fans ourselves.
If you notice the logo
on the pod, bro, I love it.
Yeah. So, man, so we know the struggle. Struggle.
We went to our first NBA game was at Madison Square Garden, and so since then,
Melo's 39.
We're just Knicks fans, I guess.
I'll tell you what, man. It like The Last Dance is a really beautiful part of this time we're living in. Like watching Mike do what Mike does, and y'all want to argue about who LeBron, Mike, whatever. But
yeah,
I hated Mike as a fan. Like Mike broke my heart every year. Like him and Scotty taking shots at Patrick every chance they got. Like I even knew Oakley was his boy, and I still hated Mike. Like I hated Mike so much. So it's been cool watching the documentary, but it's bringing up nightmares. And then living in Indiana with Reggie Miller doing the shit he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was beating the Knicks too. So yeah, it's like
it was bad. Like I was going to school, people like, yeah, okay, how the Knicks treating you, buddy? Like, yeah, it ain't great. It was rough, bro.
When he had like the 9 points in 30 seconds or 10, whatever, I know you probably cried. I know you had a tough night.
In Indiana.
I still cry when I see it, man. It just makes me sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was bad.
So after you graduated high school, you decided to go to SLU and come back to St. Louis? Or did you?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked Indiana so much. The first chance I got to get the hell out of there, I did. I don't know, man. Like coming from St. Louis, like I was in fourth grade my last year here, and then we moved. I'm in fifth grade. Like Indiana, like coming from the city to like I could look out my door at my house and there was a cornfield. Like it wasn't my cornfield, but I could see it. It was like, yeah, this isn't for me. Yeah. So I missed the good parts about the city. I missed being around. What's the word I'm looking for? Diverse people. So yeah, I came back as soon as I could. And, having that connection with the Billikens growing up, that put it on me. Like I came back thinking, geez, law school would be great. Then I realized I didn't like going to school that much. So,
Yeah.
so I got an English degree, worked for the student newspaper when I was there, and here we are.
Yeah, man.
So team was there when you playing? My bad.
Oh, my freshman year was Larry's his only year.
Okay. Yeah.
So that year it was like, okay, let's go. Like, okay. And then by junior year, I was working for the student paper. That's when Justin Love and them, they won 4 games in 4 days in Memphis with Jay Red and all those guys. They beat Kenyon Martin in the tournament down in Memphis. They beat Quentin Richardson and those cats in the championship at DePaul. Like, I drove the student newspaper guys and I did the radio with those guys, and we went out to Cleveland for the first round that year. They played Rick Majerus in Utah, and I think lost by a couple points. So yeah, man, those were good times.
And myself, we were just talking about how we both went to Mizzou, but we love SLU basketball as well.
I was gonna give you shit. I'm not going to the game. That's all I was going to do. That's all I was going to say.
Soderberg allowed me to be around the program a lot as a kid, and I went to a lot of camps, and obviously Dwayne Pope would let me come in and shoot with him and stuff when I was younger. So I really would like to see, we need like a professional sports team, and I feel like they could fill that void as a basketball team. Like if you start getting these guys and retaining this talent in St. Louis.
Well, I've never understood why SLU doesn't always get the best local guys, because it's the only place where you can wear St. Louis on your chest.
Yeah,
like it's the only, like UMSL, it's UMSL. Harris Stowe, it's Harris Stowe. St. Louis University, it's St. Louis. It's the only way if you're playing basketball. So that's what always drove me crazy. Like Majerus, at least he won, and the program was really successful. It was the next guy that I didn't like so much because he couldn't get the local guys to hang around and just wasn't really good at. How much talent did we lose out this town because they couldn't keep it? Jordan Barnes, he's not tall enough. Okay. That guy could play a little bit.
Yeah.
Look, he could play a little bit. No. So it was very disappointing. Go ahead.
I was saying we probably got 20, 30 Division I kids right now that are like major contributors, underclassmen as well. You know what I'm saying? So
easy.
And I think it's hard maybe because it's like you're a kid, you're from St. Louis. So I know for me, when I took my first visit to Mizzou, it was just like, oh, wow. You kind of get allured by the college town aspect of it. So like for somebody like Jericho Helms, like going out to North Carolina State, they got the banner, they got a championship banner. They got a little legacy. You see the Jimmy V pictures and stuff. I'm sure you could, I see how that could be like, well, maybe I do want to go play at Duke once a year, North Carolina once a year.
I was gonna say, you get a chance to play on Tobacco Road, you got to take it.
Yeah,
you can't hold that against somebody like Jason. I know Jason had SLU in his last 2, and if they played their cards right, you know how many number 22 SLU jerseys would be running around this town? Like it'd be crazy, but they didn't make the pitch. He still would have been a
top pick regardless. But Coach K is Coach K,
and that's a good family to
good networking.
I get it.
Good networking.
Yeah.
But hopefully we could get Lil Larry and that point guard, I can't think of his name right now, but hopefully we get them. Yeah, hopefully we get him and Rob to come together or something and get it back started.
Well, Lil Larry got some work to do. We'll see. He got to do some growing from with his game. Like he was inconsistent this year, and I know he's first year back off a knee injury, so he's still feeling himself. But I'm sure it's hard to play when Caleb is so ball dominant, and Lil Rob too.
True.
But I need Lil Larry to score a little bit more for me to read. But now there's going to be a lot of shots to be had next year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully you take that leap and grow.
How'd you feel about? I was going to ask you, how'd you feel about Yuri this year?
I love me a good point guard.
Yeah.
I talk about the bigs all you want, the wings all you want. Nothing works if you don't have a point guard. And I don't know. I mean, we're doing our all-decade team, like 3 teams, 5 guys on a team, and I don't know how Yuri doesn't fall into one of those teams. I mean, I don't know if he's a first-team kind of guy with the elite talent we've had. But, I mean, he's third all-time single season at SLU, set the freshman record for assists. He led all freshmen in the NCAA, 5.5 a game. I mean, the thing with Yuri, he didn't go higher was because he kind of got dinged up in AAU. His shoulder was kind of jacked.
That senior year, yeah.
So what he did to drag that team to the finals, like if he doesn't bust up his leg against Ladue in the semifinal, I don't know that they don't win state.
Yeah.
No, like he was
carrying them guys.
Oh, he averaged 30 a night in the playoffs and like almost I think 9 assists or something crazy. Like Yuri is crazy.
And you know, like we said, we are SLU fans, but man, Mizzou definitely picked wrong. Like because we're kind of coached with Coach Turner over at St. Mary's. And it was a lot of chatter. Is Yuri tough enough? Can he score the ball? Can he do all this stuff? And like you said, he averaged 30 in the postseason his last year.
His junior year, he put a stop to the V. I mean, seeing him do that, a lot of people didn't think that they'd be able to beat them in that section, or was it semifinal? I don't know what round it was.
Quarterfinal.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Because Sykeston and Fred Thatch got him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sykeston.
Sykeston got them in a quarterfinal to go to state, who Jennings beat in the third place game with little Kyle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I talk about a swaggy little fella. Man could hoop, bro.
Man. So who else did you like this year? You know, like you said, we got the big names like Caleb, and you got the Cameron Fletcher is going to Kentucky. But we've been talking about, who else around the city maybe is underrated that you saw this year that you were like, man, this guy can really play, like you talked about.
Underrated. Well, I mean, Nick Kern, for one, he's next up at the V. I mean, Lil Nick, Big Nick, whatever you want to call him.
He gave Caleb all he could handle that game.
Yeah. Nick's got some potential. I don't know what he's going to have with him, but he's got some potential over there. We talk about Lil Rob. I just think he's next up on that point guard. Like if SLU could land him and he'd be a freshman and Yuri would be a senior, like that would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
So Larry's got karate over at CBC too. That dude, like I know he's Megatron on the football field, but he's a pretty nice basketball player.
Yeah.
The two sophomores over at Chaminade this year, Mayo and Terrace.
Yeah,
I didn't really get to see them.
But I heard a lot about them. I've been hearing about them.
Yeah,
they're really good. Smet's probably like if we're just doing stuff right this second, the Smet brings back the most out of anybody. I mean, Chaminade loses 3 seniors. They do bring back the 2 sophomore starters, but the Smet right now they bring all 5 of their starters back, including their backcourt. Damn it, I can't. Brian Taylor, and then I can't remember the other cat's name off the top of my head.
It's a kid from Cardinal Ritter, point guard. That's pretty good. He was a sophomore this year. They got a lot of good sophomores.
Luther?
No, Luther is the football guy.
Right.
It's a guy. I think that his name is BG. He's a kind of dark skinned kid. He's a point guard. He's the ball dominant guy, but he's tough. Like he's very tough. We retweeted his highlight tape from this year, and they bringing everybody back for Class 3. So I'm sure they'll be a favorite again next year as well.
Shit, he lost his 2 big fellas.
Yeah, the senior guy, Clark.
Yeah, but he does bring back his 3rd big fella. Yeah, Gary and man, I haven't looked at a basketball roster in 2 months yet from this season. Gary and I can't remember that cat's name.
Yeah,
Brandon Ellington. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, Ritter had a squad this year. Nesbitt over at St. Louis Christian. Now
Nesbitt, yeah,
he's probably number 1 senior coming back, reclassified, albeit. But he didn't qualify for All Metro this year. They didn't put their statistics in our database, so I got no stats for young Jordan.
I seen him play the SLU against Caleb
CBC and Ritter. Yeah.
He made a case that he was the best player in the state, arguably. I mean,
I would agree. Man, the boy is talented. He can hoop, man.
And he has
good
eyes. He's like 6'5", 6'6" almost.
Mm-hmm.
And can shoot. So yeah, I'm interested to see what he does. And can we keep him in state? I seen Illinois offered him not too long ago. So
yeah, Illinois is interesting. Yeah, because Illinois is trying to retool up. They had a good end of the year. Like they were surging into like the Big Ten tournament. And I think Adam Miller's going there from Morgan Park here in Chicago. And then Io is still up there too. I don't think Io's gonna go into the draft. I think he's gonna try to run it back and play with Adam.
So a A lot of people talking that those two dudes don't like each other.
And that might be a reason why.
I don't know. That's just what I hear. That's the yakety yak people. And people love to talk.
Yeah.
I'm sure they make some beautiful music on the court.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Adam Miller, I think, still has some like steps to take. He has a lot of skill, but like his toughness, he kind of gets lost in the game. He can kind of just like blend in. But if he gets like a professional mindset, he's got like, I think, the skill to at least be like a professional for sure. NBA, I don't know.
Made the wrong college choice. I think he would have been perfect for like Kansas. The type of player he is, he doesn't really need the ball. He's not a person who is going to, play with the ball. He needs to be in an offense where he could come off, get open threes, just be a part of it, play an inside-out game. Like, I feel like he reminds me more of like those type of guys they get at Kansas, like Selden and like those type. Even with Ben McLemore, Ben couldn't really put the ball on the floor and do a lot of other things, but they put you in a position to where they don't make you look bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. They don't expose your game, and you're able to flourish within the offense. So we'll see.
I only got to see Adam once this year. They played Collinsville over at Edwardsville, and Collinsville pulled it out in overtime.
Yeah,
Morgan Park and people were pissed.
I mean, Morgan Park, I watched them play a couple times. I watched them play CBC when they were here for the Chicago Elite Classic, I think is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the city championships during All-Star Weekend, and they play Simeon. And the Morgan Park guys just lacked a lot of discipline. But their point guard that's going to Wake Forest, I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but he is really good. Like, I saw him take a lot of steps from his junior to senior year to where by that game, he was controlling the game. Like, he scored like 12. Like, they were down like 12. He scored like 12 straight points. Like, it was 2K or something. Like, the arena was going crazy. Like, that was a moment. They lost, but I knew that for him. Like, I saw him grow as a player in that moment. It was like he didn't go out. He went out swinging. So, yeah. But St. Louis basketball is better than Chicago basketball to me. Like, without a doubt. I mean,
statement out of you.
Like,
is it?
They have more schools, so I would say it's more competitive. I would say just like on a nightly basis, like even like considering the city, but like if you play our top versus their top, like we beat them. Vashon beat Whitney Young, and the only reason CBC lost to Morgan Park is because they were in Chicago. If they played in a neutral spot, CBC would have beat them. They only lost by like 1 point, and it was like
They're pretty young this year too.
They were young. Morgan Park has 10 years, and they barely could beat them. We watched when Rio was a senior, and Vashon and them, and they came up here.
He was a junior.
Oh yeah, well that year too. They dogs walk with the young. Yeah. So it was just like I'm personally.
Well, Curry came down and beat the V on its own court, right?
Yeah, I was at that game.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They beat them there. Whitney Young was better.
Beat them in 2 years at home.
Yeah, Whitney Young was better than Curry to me this year. And like I said, Whitney Young, DJ Stewart going to Duke, then the other young man's going to DePaul. I saw him just announce that other guard that they got. So I don't know. I don't think that. I think
that was a real ugly game, but they did pull it out. That was a real ugly game. I think also Cameron had to sit out the first quarter for whatever reason. I don't know why he had to sit out the first quarter of that game, and then he came in and didn't play too well after that. So I mean, hey.
And it is interesting because, like you say, I mean, I think Chicago thinks St. Louis plays good ball because more teams keep coming down here to play St. Louis teams, whether it's at Vashon, CBC, whether they're playing over at Highland Shootout or O'Fallon Shootout or whatever the case may be. I mean, it used to be that when they come down, it was once in a while. Now, I think I saw them down here 4 or 5 times playing in showcase and shootouts, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I think Chicago thinks it's worth their time to get out of town and come down and play some quality opponents. I mean, they're not trying to come down here and smoke somebody. That doesn't do anybody any good. Unless that checks right.
I think we have similar styles of play, like those city games. Most have city games with city guards where you kind of play. We both press aggressive styles. I think we play a little more defense than they do in Chicago. I think they're more like they shoot a lot more.
Yeah.
In general, they get up more shots. But I think it's real comparable from what I've seen. And like you said, more talent.
I think if I'm nitpicking, and it's a nitpick because I think they're pretty evenly matched first fives. I think it's that 6, 7, 8, 9 spot on the bench. Like Simeon just when they beat Collinsville this year, they just rolled dudes out. Like they went 12 dudes deep, and they didn't lose much of anything. I mean, obviously they got their 2-3 guys who could really score that thing, but everybody else out there rebounding, running, laying it up, picking them up full court. I mean, like Collinsville was 5.5, 6 guys deep. I went 12 like that. I think that's where the difference is in those kind of upper echelon programs is like CBC was 6, 7 guys deep. The V, Tony played 12 dudes any night because that's just what they do. But most and in Cardinal Ritter too, we go pretty deep. But I just think once you get past that second, third guy off the bench, they're going to find more productive players. But that's just this year what I saw.
Like you said, like the recruiting is different there, and they getting a lot of kids. Like Adam Miller's their best kid, but he's from
Peoria. He's from Peoria.
No, yeah. So it's like they do a lot more recruiting, and they have a lot more kids to pick from. So,
BT knows about that.
Wanye left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and didn't play.
Not even play.
Not even play. He could have won districts.
He'd have been starting. Yeah,
would have been starting. I don't know what he was thinking. He was glued to the bench. Glued. I was like, come on, Wanye, what are you doing, bro? Come on, that was a bad decision.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Public school. You going to Catholic school, getting a great education.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't go to Morgan Park for the education. I can tell you.
He went all his life, man. The internet pulling kids away. They getting more views.
But I think that the eyeball, like with Mac Urban Fire and Brad Billy Lee playing each other, I think that's created some of that relationship too. And I think EJ Liddell winning Mr. Illinois. Back to back. I think that said a lot like, what's going on down there?
He might have been in Belleville, but I got my St. Louis stamp on him. That's St. Louis.
It's been funny. A lot of people don't want to include Illinois in the conversation when it comes to basketball here. It's like, it's across the river. It doesn't count. It's like, no, they play good ball over there, man. They got hoopers.
East St. Louis plays good ball.
It's harder to win. I mean, Illinois has 4 classes. Missouri has 5. Illinois got way more people, way more schools, way more everything, and 1 less class. But you're going to tell me, that doesn't count? I mean, EJ he's the second guy. It was him and Jabari, the only 2 guys that go back to back as Mr. Basketball since 1981, because that's how deep Illinois basketball is. So they looked at EJ, the first guy to go back to back in Southern Illinois since I want to say LaFonso Ellis at Lincoln. Like when you're doing some stuff that LaFonso Ellis did as a kid, that's some rarefied fucking air, man.
Yeah, Jay, because he has an old school game. Like his game is real, like just grimy. He blocking shots, doing everything. He's shooting
everything, doing everything.
And the Liddell name on the east side has a lot of history to it or whatever. I don't know. I would assume they're related. You know what I mean? But like him and Tommy Liddell, maybe, I don't know. But
shout
out to Bills.
Missed out on another one.
No, I EJ and a lot of people don't give EJ the credit. Like when talking about the best teams and stuff, like EJ played with one other Division I basketball player, Malachi, who came over just for EJ's junior year. Keith is a D1 football player. Shumpert's a D1 football player. Brazil, I want to say, he's playing D2 hoops. So like EJ won back-to-back with one other Division I basketball player on his team. It's not like he got loaded up with all the guys and everybody. Like they just made it happen.
He's not as big as Jabbar either. You know what I mean? He's like 6'7", maybe just 6'7". I don't know if he's bigger than that.
Nah.
But he dominated that state at 6'7", like I said, from Belleville. So but no, like I said, with these other teams in Illinois, every single player on their roster is AAU guys. Every single player. There's no player on Simeon, no player on Morgan Park that's just like your average guy that goes to school here. Like that's not happening. Those days are over with. You know what I mean? So
Will Bynum's son at Simeon was ridiculous. I don't know what trainer regimen Will Bynum got his son on, but he was pulling up like I've never
Ahmad?
Yes.
When they played the V at Highland, man, that's when they were going back and forth, bucket for bucket, him and Phil.
Yes.
That was wild.
He did that same thing. He did that same thing in the city championship, to where it just was like, it went to a period where it was just like, I want to say he might have been a senior this year. No, or he might.
I think he's a junior.
Okay, I think he's okay. Yeah.
I think he's a junior.
Because I didn't see anybody say anything about him. So yeah, he must be a junior because he's definitely D1. He definitely, at worst case, going to DePaul. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like it seems like they've been able to retain a few kids here lately, and they got a new stadium too in the South Loop, which is really nice, which I think is attracting a lot of talent here because you get like a brand new facility. So it's just like, I think I'm very curious to see where he goes next year. That's a steal. Somebody could really get a real steal, a real good guard with him.
Apple don't fall far from the tree, man. So, will the thrill, you know? Will the
thrill, still got it, man. Still got it. So, what did you think about Misha kind of canceling state a little bit late this year? I would say.
Well, they were the last state to call off their tournament. Right. I thought they were waiting for the governor here in Missouri to make the decision for them. Like I thought or the schools to call off school. Like I think they were kind of waiting for somebody to not make them have to pull the trigger. But it got to the point where they were the only one going. Nobody knows what the corona's really doing. And I mean, shit, when Cardinal Ritter was down there, they were already scanning everybody's forehead to get in the building as far as players, coaches, and referees and everything.
I didn't know that.
So like we're talking, you know, they were I went to Francis Howell Central for CBC, Francis Howell, and Melville Chaminade, the quarterfinal. Mm-hmm. So it was 60 people per team, including the teams. Well, down there it was going to be like 100, I think 120 per team or something. So it just seemed like it was going to be a lot of stuff to work out to do it safely if they were going to do it, and then they were going to be the only one doing it. I mean, I was at St. Charles West the night when Rudy Gobert tested positive, and then all of a sudden the NBA shut down. Like that was sectional Wednesday. Like, and then Saturday we're playing games with limited spectators, and then it's like, well, what are we going to do? So I think they were waiting for somebody to force them to do it, but then it just got to the point where they had to do it because nobody else was doing it, and the risk, I think, outweighed the reward. And I don't know, like it's messed up for everybody. I mean, all the seniors this year, they didn't get to go to state. The spring kids didn't even get a season. They got 2 weeks of practice, no season. Yeah. Graduation is suspect, no prom, none of those milestones that people get to hit in their lives that we've all, I hate to say take for granted, but you take for granted. You fall into the rhythm of it. Like, oh, I'm going to get to play senior year. I'm going to get to go to state senior year. I'm going to get to go walk and graduate, and I'm going to get to go to school every day and be with my people. And none of that is happening because this virus is it's still, we don't know who has it because we can't test anybody. We don't know exactly how it does things to certain people and not stuff to other people. Right. I mean, it's just, it's an unprecedented world we're living in, hence quarantine, as we're all locked up. Yeah. So I thought I thought they were waiting for somebody to force their hand, and then they just had to do it. Yeah. So I thought they would have at least postponed it. Like, just say theoretically, you know, that they figured out how the corona worked in April, and then, you know, you give the teams 2 weeks to practice and then come play at a high school or something, a Final Four kind of deal, let them all work it out on the court themselves. But once the spring season got canceled, I mean, I don't know, there's no coming back from that, which is really unfortunate because that CBC group was really looking sharp, and Chaminade was just, you know, going back to state again.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Chaminade made it back. That's for them to be young. That's a big deal. I mean, they had Luke. People don't talk about
Luke. Yeah, they had Luke Harrison, and who am I missing? Luke Harrison, who was the third senior on that team. Damn it! Because Tara started, Mayo started, Luke started, Harrison Vickers started, and who was the fifth? He's another senior, and I can't, for the life of me, remember who it is.
Yeah, I have no idea. I missed Chaminade this year, I think.
A lot of people Luke's tough. Like K-State, right?
K-State, that's right.
Yeah, okay, yeah. He could really shoot it. He could really shoot the ball.
Luke had a tough senior year. He only hit 20 points 3 times. He put up 40 against St. Vincent St. Mary's in California. I think third game of the season, second game of the season. But he didn't have the senior year I think they expected him to have. And yet they still were 6-2 in the conference. They lost to CBC twice. Actually 5-3 because they lost to DeSmet once. That's right. So they finished third in that league. DeSmet was second, and CB won it back-to-back first time in a minute.
It's like he bust on the scene from, I guess, the Ramey League or whatever. Kind of that's when he started really, it seemed like people start respecting him more as, a D1 guy. I don't know if the expectation, when it's different being a shooter when nobody knows you and then walking in the gym and everybody knows that you're going to shoot.
Chasing you.
That's what probably threw him off this year is that like now kids are trying to take your head off. Whereas before you just floating around getting open jumpers in, you know what I mean? Like
Mateus Case. That's who it was. No, I think that's right because there was a lot of pressure on him because he was the K-State guy, and Mateus Case, who signed with Penn, he's a Pennsylvania guy from Canada. Shout out to Drake. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure there, and I mean, it's different going from being when Jericho is taking the lead. When they played a crazy championship game with Webster back in, what was that, 18? Yeah, 2018. Like they combined for, I think, over 200 points or something close to it. Like it was nuts. Like Jericho was incredible all season and especially that year. And then the following year, Webster beat him in overtime in the district semifinal. So they went from 4 straight Final Fours to getting put out. So I think that year helped him prepare for it. I just know that he was physically, like he showed up. He didn't look any, senior year is supposed to be bigger, stronger, faster, the peak of your powers. He didn't look like he physically changed a whole lot. Now, I don't know if that's just because that's what his body just always looks like, no matter how much he does or what, but it just seemed like the course of the season, he just didn't have that energy and that burst you expect to see those senior guys have. So yeah. I don't know what it is.
Maybe he might need
pressure.
A rest to get his body together. It seems like Bruce Weber loves St. Louis. I mean, he's been here so much. I mean, he's one of the main coaches that recruits this place.
Yeah.
You would think
Bruce has been mobbing in St. Louis since Carbondale days, man. He's been he tapped this pipeline a long time ago and hasn't stopped. Didn't work out so great for Sean.
No.
Unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, Levi was there. I think Levi hit the portal actually not too long ago.
I think he
transferring out of there. Yeah, but X was obviously a monster
from Hazelwood.
Sean, that's who we talking about.
Okay.
Sean Williams. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sean Williams.
It's another guy. He's a senior at K-State this year.
Oh, you talking about Sneed?
Xavier Sneed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, X. Yeah, Levi, X, Sean, we're all there. X graduated, and the other 2 transferring. Big Davion's going up there too from Melville. Was at CBC as a freshman.
Yeah, I saw him.
Big 7-footer, big fella. So yeah, I mean, he loves these dudes. I hope he has a better season next year than he did this year because he ain't gonna be there very long. K-State was on the struggle bus, bro.
Yeah, I expected a lot more of them. I don't know what it was this year. I think maybe they were expecting
a couple of good runs with them when they were younger, but maybe they lost those guards that took them deep.
And Sean didn't really improve to where they needed him to be they needed him to be a lead guard, like in reality. And I don't think that like his game is, at least at Hazelwood, to me, it was just kind of like athleticism and scoring. Like they needed him out there in the Big 12 every day to be thinking. And it just was like, Xavier Sneed kind of played the role I feel like he wanted to play. And that's not what they needed from him as a team. So, like, when you're not getting that from him, like you said, now he's want to transfer. Like you said, in college, you need guards. If you don't have guards, then it's just like, it's hard to win.
Yeah, no quarterback, you're not scoring.
Yeah. No, it's just not. Yeah. So, before, we always ask our people their top 5, ball players, and we always kind of switch it up a little bit. And we always ask the top 5 MCs too. We get that too. It's the backcourt. Okay. But something I wanted to ask you. You had just tweeted about an article featuring Brighton, who we had episode 13. We actually played against Brighton. We're going to Metro. We played
Metro.
Yeah, in district center and stuff like that. But
I didn't know you grew up 2 blocks from Maplewood. You had a more of a heart for the story. I didn't realize that.
I went to college with Frage too, but whatever.
Okay.
Right. Shout out to Frage.
Yeah, shout out to Frage. But how have you seen, like, we talk about like the last 10 years for us watching high school basketball change from being participants, 10 or so years ago to now kind of transitioning. I guess we're on the media side now, I guess. Technically. Yeah, technically.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, but what's been that transition that you saw in the last 10 years in St. Louis basketball?
The talent level is better. Like, again, it's that depth. Like, now that, like, you can't just show up as a great athlete and get on the court unless you're like really, like, if you're 6'6" and can jump out of the gym, okay, they'll find a spot for you on a team. But like, if you want to play serious high school level ball, man, like, you can't just decide, I'm going to be a basketball player in like middle school. Like, you got, like, I know you're talking about Wits and Pure Sweat and all these different organizations. They're teaching these kids how to play ball and do these drills and shit. Like, and there are people who that's what they do. The kids, that's what they love it. They dig it. They get into it. Mm-hmm. So the skill level, I think, is really high. And the further, the more that spreads out, the harder it is to come, because everybody gets a baseline skill level. So that's what I would say has been the biggest improvement is the rapid growth of the trainer and the skill level of your average player. Now, I mean, there's going to be elite athletes. There's going to be kids who shoot the ball. I mean, I'm putting the all-decade team together, like I said. I mean, I was just going over Torrance Watson's stats. You know how many times Torrance Watson went over 50 as a senior? Three. But here's a name you might like. How about Josh Robinson from St. Mary's? You remember Josh? Mm-hmm. He went over 50 twice, averaged 36 as a senior. Averaged 36.
What year was that?
That was 2014.
Okay.
That was the year Lil T and Ledoux beat Chaminade in districts, and Jordan Barnett went bananas in the championship game, 43 and 20 to beat Jimmy Witt.
Okay.
And Hickman. So what I've seen over the last 10 years is the skill level has improved, and some of the politics have gotten a little fluky, a little weird. Like we don't like it when our kids train here, we're transferring there. I think a lot of people, instead of just picking a school and sticking with it, I mean, like I don't know. I mean, I know things happen, families break up, kids move, kids get in trouble, but it just seems like you can do a little more hopping. People kind of hop around a little bit. Like, you guys remember Jason Drags?
Where do you go?
He played at Riverview as a senior, but he was at St. Charles for a minute. Like, that would have been his senior year. They played Vashon at Parkway West. I guess that was 2017. Like, that's when Riverview was rolling with Zeke Moore.
Okay,
those guys.
I remember reading about that team.
But he was on like 3 different high school teams in 4 years. Like, I mean, I know Tupep is like notorious for doing that. That was kind of his rap was, I think he says he went to 3.5 high schools in his time. Mm-hmm. So, but like you see that a little bit more than I think you used to. I've also seen a lot like freshmen now can kind of make an impact. If you're a really talented freshman, there's not a lot of coaches anymore who are just going to be like, no, you need to wait your turn.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're Courtney Ramey, you're getting on the floor as a freshman a lot. Mm-hmm. If you're Yuri Collins, you're starting a lot. I mean, Yuri, I just did his numbers. Let's see if I have it laying here. Yuri had 208 assists as a freshman. He averaged over 7.4 assists per game. And I think they lost to the V in the district final that year. Mm-hmm. Like, as a freshman showing up, throwing around 7 assists, not everybody's going to do that. But I just think that talent level has risen over the last 10 years. And so has the let's hop from school to school. I mean, shit, Hazelwood Central's team this year, I think a bunch of those dudes have come from other places. So
how do you feel about the freshman at Hazelwood Central that's ranked top in the country or whatever the case may be? He hopped around a lot, might be hopping again.
Well, when I saw him at the Parkway West tournament, I went over there and I saw the semifinals. I didn't see them play to cement in the championship game. I think I was at Eastside that night, but he looked good there. He shoot the ball really well. He was their one consistent scorer most of the season. Like I think he led them in scoring this year
at some point.
But when I saw them on sectional Wednesday, the night the NBA shut down, they played CBC and he looked like a freshman. And that's the other thing. Like for a freshman to show up and make a big impact, you have to have something special inside you. It just takes time and reps. So is he next? Maybe. I don't know. You got to make that leap. So if he sticks around and does his thing, he could be really, really great. Eastside had a good freshman this year whose name escapes me and I don't want to get it wrong. Damn it.
Did we see them this year to now?
Yeah, we see them play
St. Mary's. Yeah.
Like the East Side.
Damn it. What is that man's name?
McCaleb.
He's McCaleb. Well, he's like a wing.
Okay.
He's got that LeBron James syndrome where he's all big and muscular as a freshman. Like looks like he's 17, but he's actually like you can kind of see he's still got the cheeks on him. He's still 14.
Yeah, baby face.
Yeah, but muscular. So no, he's those two dudes are probably the best two looking freshmen that potential in this year's crop of dudes.
Okay,
that's an interesting take. I mean, I do think the politics, like you said, are going up because there's so much power right now. We're getting NBA guys. We have like 4 or 5 NBA guys right now. So
all Americans.
I think with Brad and Jason and all them coming up and like Caleb now, what they've done have made everybody kind of scramble and everybody's jockeying for position. Everybody wants their kid to be the next, Jason Tatum or the next Caleb Love and what have you. So it's a lot of politics that comes after with that, I think. And I would say the skill has went up, but in my opinion, across the board, it seems like to me the IQ and strategy a little bit from the game has went down slightly to me. That's my take. I don't know. I don't want to sound like an old guy, nothing. But I feel like people are more skilled and they do more drills. But I think kids now aren't watching as much basketball. It's like you could watch a ton of highlights, but
that's
highlights,
not the game.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you the whole story. You're not watching everything. So I think a lot of kids have a lot of moves, a lot of skills, but when it comes down to certain things that come from playing the game and strategy-wise, I don't see as much as I used to in terms of the strategy.
That's interesting. I think that's part of that too. But I haven't noticed the IQ. I mean, I do notice when somebody does something, it's like, oh, that was really smart, or they throw it off their foot out of bounds, or they go in and it's like, oh, I'm 1-on-4, let me go get this layup. Well, there's no layup there, fella. So, but like as a whole, I haven't really noticed the IQ go down. But
is too, I would say than before, more pressure.
Oh, because, of course. I think
from watching Caleb this year, I feel like I seen him the most out of everybody this year. I wasn't here. I just moved back home, but I could tell, like, say that Nesbitt matchup with them is more going into it. They're playing. It's like they playing into the camera in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
whereas
absolutely.
before that wasn't a thing.
Well, Ball is Life wasn't filming every game, and now when you're Rashawn, you got Tom on the sideline taking your picture all the time, or whoever. There's not
just lobs.
Used to be Mario at Just Lobs. There wasn't 5 dudes with cameras putting you on tape, and I love those guys. I love them a lot. And I wish the players would just play and not worry about, I need to go get this highlight reel, because at the end of the day, you don't play for highlights.
You play to win. Right. And that's
some people play to win.
Politics, that all feeds into the politics, because media is, kind of in politics, a big part of it. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, you want this dunk, or you want to look good against this guy, or you thinking about things you don't need to think about instead of just going out and competing. Then you got 100,000 girls DMing you, Snapchatting you. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of pressure on these kids.
I mean, it's a little different too, because I know when we were in high school, it's not the same, but we all, everybody wanted to check the STL today at least once a week. You were checking STL today just to see what was going on, like you said, but that's not getting your layup lines and for the IG and having the edits and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's
like I couldn't FaceTime the guy and talk shit to him about what I'm gonna do to him on live next week. You know what I mean? It's different. Like I genuinely didn't know you if you lived in West County because I couldn't. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
a little different, but still good.
Yeah, man. I know they're like the pressure. I think is a big part of that because, like I said, everybody wants their kid to be. Oh, I want them to be this. So, I mean, Earl Austin wrote the book. Shit, I think it was 10 years ago. You know, straight jacket parents, man. Like because there are these parents who put so much pressure on their kids, and that's you should play because you love the game. You should play the game because you want to do it. You want to put yourself into it, not because somebody else wants you to do it. And I mean, and if the game can take you other places, God love you, because anybody can get out of this city, take a chance and get out, because I mean, it eats its young. It just does. I mean, so, but the pressure there, like from mom and dad, shit. That's unfortunate on them kids, man.
Yeah.
And it really, I think it messes them up. And I think, and I think they play to that too. But
yeah,
it's 2020, man. We're living in a crazy world. Look who our president is.
Man, we still got how many more months? We just getting into
only month 5.
It's just getting started with 2020.
Not halfway through.
Not halfway through, man. Jeez, well,
let's get this top 5s in. I'm interested to hear your take.
So I want your SLU top 5. Who are your 5 favorite SLU players? I don't think we've got that before.
Top 5 SLU Billikens ever?
Yeah, I want your top 5 Billikens.
Well, it has to start with Anthony Bonner, because that was my guy who got me in it to start. And then Larry, because Larry was my guy back in the day. John Redden is in this conversation because he was a 4-year guy who was there in 97 and in 2000, 97, 98, and then again 2000. So I love John forever, Mr. Marquette. Good dude at Maplewood too. Let me see. And then I would have to go. Jordan Goodwin is my guy, man. Like I love Jay Goody when he was at Althoff, and he took them to the state championship game as a sophomore, and then went out and won 3A as a junior. And had he not got hurt and just messed up his shoulder as a senior, who knows what they do that year? Like Jordan Goodwin is my dude. And then it's Yuri, like with the number 6 being TJ Hargrove. Like those two dudes, like TJ Yuri.
Yeah,
man, they're gonna be alley-ooping the hell out that damn thing in 2 years, man. I can't wait. So those are my five Billikens right now.
Okay, and so now we need your top 5 MCs, man.
Top 5 ever.
Yeah. And this is your personal 5. It's your personal 5.
It doesn't have to be in order.
BT had E40 in his top 5, so this is how you feel. I think my dad had Project Pat in his top 5, so this is no hope. Hey, it's his top 5.
All right. Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace. I just put him at number 1, and I think what gets lost for a lot of people is he did 2 albums. 2 albums. Arguably has the best double album ever. I would take it as the best one. And when I look at Jay-Z, I see what Biggie could have been had he not been murdered. You know what I'm saying? Like the career longevity, all of that, because Jay was just coming up. Big gets on his rookie album, his first album, his debut, and drops, a couple of bars for him, getting that legit. And all of a sudden Jay is, king of the world for 12, 15 years. So Biggie's number 1. Tupac was like Me Against the World, man. That was my high school album. Like I didn't have a CD player in my car, so I taped it to a tape so I could listen to the tape in my car as a kid. Like that's how that I just love that record. And then, All Eyes on Me, I think is maybe about 5 to 8 songs too long. But still good. And then Machiavelli is an all-timer.
Yeah.
So that's 1 and 2. Wayne has
on Biggie too.
Do what?
Tupac helped put Biggie on too, or helped.
Oh, for sure.
Influenced them.
No, when I look at what Tupac could have been between acting and rapping and doing all of that, like, I mean, shit, both those guys got killed before they were 30. Like they were just kids, man.
They ain't even fully developed. I mean,
yeah.
So they got I mean, that was when I was in high school. I graduated high school in '97. Okay. Shout out to the 40-year-olds in the demographic watching this. But and then after that, like that's when you start getting into like Andre 3000.
Okay.
For me,
3 stacks.
Like
okay.
I think that's his first interest into our top 5.
Yeah, you're the first. Yeah, it's a good one. First entry
in 14 episodes, 15 episodes. Yeah.
That dude, him and Big Boy are phenomenal, but I mean, the poet in me loves 3000. He's on another level. And then, and this is where I get, it's tough for me because Nas was the truth for so long. But Eminem is my guy. Like, personally, just seeing somebody go out and do what he did, it's like, hell yeah. Finally.
Yeah, it's like, how do you not have Larry Bird in your top 5? You know what I mean? It's like, I feel
Eminem held it down. Eminem first 3 albums was like out the bat, like classics.
I like Eminem a lot. I ain't gonna fake it. And then the movie 8 Mile.
I mean, he's got his baggage. He's had his troubles, but I got a buddy who when we're talking about battle rappers, he's like, dude, don't twist it. Nobody wants it with the white boy because he went on Jay-Z's record and laid the best verse. He laid the best verse.
You hold up with Jay-Z. You're a Dr. Dre prodigy. You coming from Detroit. You had them, you know what I'm saying? That's tough. That's a tough resume.
I will never forget hearing My Name Is or like
for the first time. Yeah, as a kid, that was crazy. It was just like, whoa, okay.
I don't know. I'm like 6. I'm like, whoa, this is. Do you like violence? Like what? But yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So M is in my 5, and like I said, like Nas, I love Nas, but Nas kind of slid off a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Like I think 5 is just so hard because I love Scarface and I love Wayne as Southern guys. Like the Diary to me.
Very good.
It is a classic record. Like I just love that album. Wear It Out. Shout out to Scarface, who's apparently in a real bad way with the COVID.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are kind of my all-time guys.
Okay, that's a good list.
Thank you.
That's a good list. You represent it. That's a good list. I always say, I personally think that Illmatic is the best rap album ever.
10 home runs.
Because it's just like it's held up so good. Like when it was on, when they had New York State of Mind on like 2K or something, it was like the best song on there. It was just like every time it came
because his age at the time. I think that's what makes it more impressive to me that he was like just a kid in the projects writing like he was like 38 or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I think as time goes on, Tupac to me is netting out as like the best rapper because one, he could have made content. So Tupac was a great actor. So now if he would have had Instagram and stuff like that, Tupac would be humongous if he had Instagram. And then on top of that, lyrical, like at the time, people would say, oh, well, Tupac's not like Biggie and Jay-Z and like all these other like double entendre rappers. But as time has gone on, that hasn't stayed a consistent theme in rap. So now when you listen to Tupac raps, he's like a top tier rapper compared to like what came after like, I would say 2005. As far as like top rappers go, like now he has leveled out to like Brenda's Got a Baby. It's like if you listen to that compared to music now, like that's a full surprise of right. Like
even aesthetically, people give Wayne all the credit for what's going on now, but like who influenced Wayne in them to be like Thug Life and all his whole mentality of around his art. You know what I'm saying? His thought process is kind of what the game became.
It's Tupac. You're kind of a thug, but you're not really a thug. You're a little bit smarter than what you're really putting up. But you're like
he was an actor and a poet growing up, like
crazy.
Like, he was like he was in plays and he had obviously a coming up in Oakland a rough background, but he was he was all over. He was on the East Coast. He was
gifted.
Coast.
He was a gifted child growing up. They ended up in rough situations. And
yeah.
I can relate.
Well, Dave, this was a great interview. We appreciate you taking some time, doing everything.
Support, man,
we appreciate your support. I'll say you're one of the first media members in St. Louis to like follow us and like acknowledge what we're doing with the backcourt, what we're trying to do. So we really appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, man, you guys, you're very welcome. I'm happy to be here. I mean, I saw you come up with Cam Beachide when you guys put him on. It's like, oh, I gotta hear what's up. I mean, that you want to talk about dudes coming out, you know, all decade players. Like Cam is in that conversation. Like Cam was the one, and you guys had him, and it's like, oh, I got to see what these fellas about. So I appreciate you having me on, man. It means a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Stay safe, and we'll be talking to you. And thanks again, man.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Talk to you.